Story 1. Alright, this took place last year. Before I get into the story, there's a bit of background information that's pretty important to understand before everything else. Every month at my school, a teacher is recognized as Teacher of the Month, and their picture gets posted on the school's official Instagram account. This particular month, the teacher who was featured just so happened to have a Palestinian flag in the background of her photo. She had put it up a while earlier because, and I quote, "I saw people suffering and wanted to show my support to them." A few days later, school administrators came into her classroom during school hours and told her that she needed to take the flag down. She was understandably shocked and refused. In response, they threatened her with consequences, so she decided to walk out of the classroom. This is what caused the protest to happen, both in honor of her and also in support of the people of Palestine. Now, for the actual story. It was the day of the protest, and me and about 8 others went outside during the first period to stand in front of the school with our posters. We had permission, of course, and we were staying very respectful. At first, the protest was going really well. A few people who were dropping kids off late saw us, and most didn't really react at all. That was, until an entitled parent arrived on the scene. This woman stormed out of her car and marched right up to one of the boys who was protesting. She got in his face and started screaming at him. "Entitled mother, do you realize how disgusting you are? Do you know what your sign says? You're promoting violent extremists." For the record, this student's sign said Intifada Intifada, which roughly translates to rebellion rebellion, and it was not promoting anything violent. The student calmly responded, "What are you talking about, ma'am? That isn't what this means." At this point, a school administrator had to step in and try to get the woman to back away from the student. Administrator: "Ma'am, I'm sorry, but you cannot get in a student's face like that." Entitled mother: "My child is Jewish, and he has to come into school seeing this. Do you have any idea how he must feel seeing this?" Side note: the son was still in the car, and from the looks of it, he didn't seem too bothered by what was happening. The administrator replied, "Ma'am, I understand that you're upset, but you should not have gotten into a student's face like that." Entitled mother: "Okay, maybe I shouldn't have gotten so close, but he is promoting violent extremists. You should teach these kids what those words really mean." The woman kept yelling, and eventually, one of our school's campus security officers had to escort her back to her car so she wouldn't risk causing harm to any of us. A few minutes later, the administration told us we had to end the protest because it was too risky now. Sorry if this seems pretty short, but it was still a pretty wild thing to witness, especially right in front of a high school. Story 2. I went to a Comic-Con in 2019. I wore my Wonder Woman cosplay and couldn't wait to meet Linda Carter. I meet a few other women who are also in Wonder Woman costumes, and we all got along until they warned me there's one among the con-goers who also cosplays as her that rumors were spinning around that she's trying to get to be in everyone's photos of them with Linda if they're dressed as Wonder Woman. The woman eventually made her presence known, and she approached me and the other 3 Wonder Women. She asked if we bought the photo op with Linda, and we said that's our business, not hers. Come the photo ops, the woman who we could overhear tell the line coordinator she's doing the photo op with her fellow Wonder Women and tries pointing us out saying, "There's my girls," yelling in our direction. What happened? We were supposed to line up together. The line coordinator's coworker walked over and asked if she was with us, and we said, "No, she isn't with us, we have our own individual photos with Linda." When the woman was told that we could hear her screaming, we were lying and staff had to call security to help. The woman broke through security and line coordinators and tried standing her ground to stand with us, and we asked her to leave, and she said she was entitled to be in our photo ops, which we said she isn't, and asked her to leave us alone, which caused her to scream. She ultimately got removed from the line and got told to either purchase her own photo op or do something else at the con while Linda's photo ops happened. After me and the other 3 got our photos, the woman eventually found us and screamed at us for not including her, and we told her we aren't friends with her and to stop making it look like we were friends with her. We would learn from another woman in costume with us that the woman does what she does to get into other Wonder Woman cosplayers' photo ops because she doesn't want to pay the fee of the photo ops. Since that Comic-Con, I haven't seen the person, but I do see the women I befriended. We keep in contact. Story 3. A bit of background. I am from Germany. I have only a few rules concerning my home, my belongings, and my car when other people come around. In my home, the rule is, I am not a servant. If you want to eat or drink, help yourself from the fridge or pantry. When it comes to my tools, the rule is, ask before using them. And in my car, the rule is clear, do not smoke in my car. One rule applies to all the above: if you make a mess, you clean it up. Seems reasonable? Well, not for the person in this story. This happened in the summer of 2015. I had gotten my car in December 2014, a 2.8 Volkswagen Golf 1.9 diesel. I still drive it. I was on my way to a convention and decided to take a passenger with me. It's really nice to have some company on a 6-hour drive. I picked him up and told him about the no smoking rule. Everything seemed fine until we got on the Autobahn. That's when he pulled out a pack of cigarettes and lit one up. This conversation followed. Hey, what the heck? I told you no smoking. So what? What are you going to do about it? Kick you out. You know, it is illegal to stop on the Autobahn. This is technically true. German law states that you cannot stop on the Autobahn unless it is an emergency or your car breaks down. You can even get fined for running out of gas on the Autobahn since it is considered preventable. Anyway, I knew something he didn't. There was a truck stop just 3 kilometers ahead. I exited the Autobahn and pulled into the truck stop. All right, out of my car. Now. You can't do that. Sure as heck I can. This is my car, and I have every right to ask you to leave. The next part is a bit blurry, as it mostly involved us yelling at each other. I remember getting out of my car and tossing his suitcase and bag onto the ground. Then, I physically removed him from my car and pushed him away. I drove off, turned up the music, and sang along to Rammstein for the rest of the drive. Later that evening, I was in my hotel room, relaxing after the drive. I had been there for about 3 hours when I heard a knock on the door. Standing there were hotel management, hotel security, convention security, the convention organizer, and the police with the smug-looking smoker right in the middle of them. The police told me they picked him up about 2 kilometers away from the truck stop, walking along the Autobahn. He claimed that I had kicked him out exactly where they found him. You do know this is illegal. You violated highway codes eyes and willingly endangered his life, the police officer said. Sir, with all due respect, he has been lying to you. I kicked him out at the truck stop. You can call them. I'm sure they have it on their security cameras. Did he even tell you why I asked him to leave? No, he didn't. I then told them the full story and explained that I didn't want him in my car anymore because he broke my personal rules, specifically smoking in my vehicle after I had clearly told him not to. I made sure to leave him at the truck stop, from where he could have easily called someone to pick him up or arranged another ride. It was a safe and public location, not some random stretch of highway. At that point, the smoker turned noticeably pale, and the police officer looked at him with visible irritation. Is this true? The officer asked him. Well, the smoker stammered. You need to come with me, said the officer sternly. The smoker was then charged with making a false accusation against me. It resulted in a financial penalty that, from what I was told later, was in the 4-figure range. Apparently, this wasn't the first time he had pulled something like this. The convention canceled his membership entirely. The hotel management also canceled his reservation. As for me, I got free drinks at the hotel bar for the entire duration of my stay, along with a complimentary sponsor-level upgrade for the convention. Story 4. So some backstory. I was an employee at a little, yet popular cafe, which we'll call Cafe X, in my rapidly developing town. Unfortunately, I got laid off due to the pandemic. Understandable though, it was tiny. I get along well with customers, some of which I know on a first-name basis. The incident occurred at another cafe, Cafe Y, where two of my friends work. One of them, Mitsu, is a barista, while the other, Kieran, was the manager. Cafe Y is way more popular than my cafe, so more people went there to get their coffee. I had had a couple screw-ups while I was working that day and was really beating myself up. My manager, who was worried about me, told me to clock out early today and to relax. We all have days like this. Just come back tomorrow with a smile. Honestly, I was annoyed that she didn't trust me to control myself, but she probably did the right thing. Anyways, on to the story now. I was tired and stressed out after being sent home, so I decided to go to Cafe Y in order to grab something and head home. However, I had forgotten Kieran and Mitsu were working that day, which was a pleasant surprise. It was the slow period of the day, and the two were talking together. The moment I walked in, Miss Stu joked about how rats in the store are a safety violation. She calls me Rat. It's a long story. I flipped her off, a show of affection, and asked Kieran for some tea, which he laughed and said sure. Mitsu and I sat down and talked, while Kieran boiled the water for my favorite blend, green tea with mint. A lady walks in and Mitsu gets up to go take her order. As I'm waiting, I notice that the sugar at the sugar cream section was low. Wanting to help out my friends, I take the sugar out from the cabinet below, refill it, walk back to my seat, and start playing games on my phone. My first mistake. Obviously, the lady saw me and started ranting. The conversation went a little something like this. This entitled woman scoffs. Wow, how professional of your co-worker there, taking out his phone in the middle of his shift. People like him don't deserve to work. Mitsu looks around, confused, and says, "Ma'am, I'm the only one here. Can I get you anything else?" The woman gives her a look like she's completely stupid and replies, "Are you making fun of me? I can clearly see your coworker not working." She points at me. I haven't looked up, but I've been paying attention to the conversation. I speak up. "Ma'am, I don't work here." My second mistake. She turns to me and walks over to my table. "Shut your mouth, you filthy liar. I saw you restock the sugar and you shouldn't lie to your customers like that." Funny thing about me, when I'm tired and off the clock, I don't take nonsense from anyone. My general response is either sarcastic or condescendingly witty. Bad habit, I know. I look up at her, locking eyes, and say, "Lady, I want you to take a look at the logo on her shirt and tell me if it matches up with the logo on my shirt." She blinks for a minute, looking at my shirt. Then she snaps at me. "Don't you talk to me like that, you delinquent. You work here. Now I demand you get behind the counter and help make my order." I put my phone in my pocket, letting out a sigh. "I don't work here. I'm not allowed to go behind the counter." I look at Mitsu, who nods in confirmation. "Ma'am, he doesn't work here." She wheels around, pointing directly in Mitsu's face. "Don't you cover up for him, you little witch. I saw you talking just a second ago. You're just trying to bail your friend out." Her first mistake. I immediately get up and walk up to her. "Lady, I think you need to apologize to my friend. I'm very protective of my friends, especially people like Mitsu. She can't stand confrontation like this and often would get anxiety from this kind of situation." This woman wheels around to me, now shoving her finger in my face. "Is that a threat? Are you threatening a customer? This is unacceptable. I'll have your job." At this point, Kieran comes out and places my tea on the counter. I don't know if he's been listening to the conversation or not. He just calls my order number. Immediately, the woman grabs the tea and takes a sip, assuming it's hers. Before I can tell her, she spits it all over me. "What is this? This is not my order," she pointed at Mitsu. "You are incompetent. I want to speak to a manager about you and your jerk of a friend." Then she throws it away, still screeching. Her second mistake. It's one thing to get mad over my mistakes. It's another to accuse me of your own. Before I can even get a word out, Kieran stops me. "I'm the manager here. What seems to be the problem?" The woman gets a triumphant smirk on her face. The rude employee here refused to take my order, and when I asked politely, he cussed me out and hit me. Then your other employee defended him while also calling me a witch. She lifted her sleeve, revealing a bruise on her upper arm. Obviously from a previous injury or something, because I had not touched her at all. Kieran looked at me with concern. You did this? I can't believe you. My mouth dropped. Dude, you know I wouldn't. But he lifted his hand, stopping me. I need you to come with me. We need to discuss your status as an employee. Mitsu, don't leave either. Make her order, then come back too. He turns to look at the entitled woman. I'm sorry, but after your order is made, could I ask you to wait so I can compensate you for your awful visit? She has the smuggest look on her face. Of course. I'm happy management here is at least competent. Kieran leads me back into the manager office. He closes the door, then turns to me with a look of exasperation. All right, what happened? Immediately I realized he was on my side, and he was using his legendary theater skills to calm the lady down. I explained the situation, and he gets super pissed. Not only has this lady berated a customer, but also his employee, which just so happens to be his girlfriend. He begins to walk out, but I stop him and tell him, call the cops. He looks at me, a questioning look on his face. I tell him my plan, and immediately walk out of the room with his approval. I walk back out and see Mitsu shaking, either out of anger or anxiety. I don't know. While the lady is berating her, I walk to her and whisper something. She nods and walks back to the office. The woman eyes me with triumph, and I glare at her. I check the screen to confirm something. Yep, I've got my evidence. I sit and wait behind the counter. She makes a couple remarks, berating me and trying to antagonize me, but I ignore her. Eventually, the police arrive. Kieran walks out, with Mitsu behind him. The woman's eyes widen in excitement, as she realizes that her complaint is getting me in even more trouble than she originally anticipated. Kieran walks over to the officers, asks them to come with him back to the manager room, and tells the rest of us to wait in the front. Mitsu and I sit on the opposite side of the store to the lady. I check with Mitsu. She's fine, just a bit angry now. The woman can barely contain her excitement of seeing how she got 2 delinquents fired and 1 arrested. A while passes, and the cops come out with Kieran. They ask for our sides of the events. She begins first, painting herself as the victim while accusing me of verbally harassing her and assault, even going so far as to claim I touched her inappropriately. The cops come and ask our side of the story. Of course, we tell it together because we're clearly on the same side. The cops think for a minute, then turn around and say, "Ma'am, I'm placing you under arrest." She stands up, flabbergasted. "I'm sorry, what?" She points at me. "He's the one who attacked me. Look at this bruise." She rolls up her sleeve again, exposing the bruise. The second officer, with an exasperated look on her face. "Ma'am, you do realize there are security cameras in this building, right?" Her face goes white as she realizes her mistake. Kieran, Mitsu, and I share a triumphant smile. We all knew about the cameras, of course. They clearly recorded her yelling at us, the lack of me hitting her, and her taking my drink, as well as spitting on me. Kieran had shown them the footage when he called the cops back, at my request. When she protested that she never assaulted me, I told her it's assault when you intentionally spit a drink on someone. She protested, saying she thought it was her coffee. Kieran then shows the officer that the lady never finished her order, as Mitsu never entered. The cops arrested her and asked if I wanted to press charges. After the last time, a lot of people told me I should have pressed charges. So I did. She was charged with verbal harassment, assault, theft, and a couple things like disturbing the peace, etc. She was escorted off the property, screeching at us. We're awaiting the hearing, but I won't be posting about it. She likely won't make a scene considering she seemed to recognize it was a losing battle. I texted my manager later. She asked me for a description of the lady. She then told me that she would make sure that she never sets foot in my workplace either, as that could end up messy for the restaurant. She asked me that next time to act a bit more professionally, as that does reflect on the restaurant. However, she did agree that I did the right thing and asked if I got my tea. I said yes, and she asked how was it. I said it was great. It's my personal favorite. Green tea with mint and a pinch of justice. Story 5. A few hours ago, my aunt called my mother about something that happened today. Her pissed-off black woman voice could be heard across the room. I was curious what happened, worried something bad happened as I've never heard her so angry, and asked my mother to put her on speakerphone. The following story she told us is parallel to a situation my mother and I went through when I was very young. Here's how it began. Early this afternoon, Aunt age 52 and her daughter age 9 went to the store to pick up baking supplies for my cousin to make her first gingerbread house. Cousin had always wanted to make one and was inspired when I shared photos of the holiday goodies I made. I told her it's more fun to make food from scratch and they just taste better, and she wanted to give it a try. That was their plan for this weekend. Cousin and aunt went to Dollar Tree for candy since they could get way more for way less. Then their local grocery for the good brand name stuff. They had most of the ingredients at home, so they didn't need much. Being the holiday season, they were in line for quite a while. Cousin bounced with excitement saying how she couldn't wait to get started on the gingerbread house and make it so cute. There was a white woman in line behind them. Aunt assumed 40-something whose outfit said she could buy anything at full price and still afford her bills for the month. She said with a big smile, "Your daughter has such pretty hair." One thing about the women in my family, we all have great hair because we take care of it. It's thick, healthy, and beautiful, and we take pride in it. We all stopped using relaxers before Cousin was even born, so it was 100% pure African American hair. It's a lot of work, but the payoff is worth it. Cousin loves getting her hair styled. Today's style was 2 twists over her head like a headband, butterfly clips, and matching bubble balls around 4 separate, evenly parted twists with flower barrettes on the ends. It was windy where they live, so Untie also gelled her hair down. Aunt thanked the woman for the compliment. Cousin was shy around strangers and inched forward, feeling uneasy as the woman was not on the 6-foot marker on the floor separating them. While Aunt started loading their things onto the conveyor belt, she noticed one of Cousin's flower barrettes fell off, and one of her little twists came loose. Aunt told her to pick it up. She has bad knees so as not to lose it. Cousin bent down to get it, and as soon as she stood up, the woman behind grabs her and starts touching her hair. This total stranger put her hands on another stranger's child, especially a black woman's child. Yeah, her obituary would be in the works if it were my kid. When Aunt saw her, she hollered, "Get your freaking hands off my child." The woman stared at her wide-eyed and didn't stop. "She's fine. Her hair is just so pretty, I couldn't resist the urge to touch it." Aunt starts taking her earrings off. Wasn't her first fight. She said, "Lady, I do not know you, and I am not above resisting the urge to touch you." She snatched the woman's hand away and threw it aside as it smacked into the conveyor belt. The woman cried out in pain while clutching her hand and yelled, "What the hell is wrong with you?" Aunt tells her, "You don't put your hands on someone else's child. If I did that to your kid, you'd have me arrested." The woman looks at Cousin, who is on the verge of tears, and says, "I bet your mean mommy beats you at home, doesn't she? You're probably being abused. I can take you away from that pain, baby." Cousin began to step back from the woman, smelling the crazy on her, and this broad quickly grabbed her arm by force. Cousin shrieks and Aunt backhands the woman clean across the face. The woman just gasped and stared at her like she was crazy. To Aunt's credit, she was the right kind of crazy, the kind you don't mess with when it comes to her cubs. Aunt didn't know if someone called a manager or security or if they were already coming, but they did, and the 2 security men restrained my aunt. "She's no small lady." The woman immediately started sobbing and told them, "Arrest this psycho. She assaulted me when all I did was say her daughter's hair was pretty." Aunt said, "You put your hands on my baby. You're lucky I'm not whooping your butt up and down these aisles." The cashier and some onlookers vouched for her, saying, She didn't know the woman who just started touching cousin's hair for no reason. The manager told one of the security guards to stay with the woman while he, aunt, and the other guard went to his office. My aunt told them everything that happened before they checked the CCTV. Everything from the woman touching cousin's hair to untie slapping the taste out of her mouth when she tried to grab cousin by force. Everything aunt told them was caught on video. The manager asked if cousin was okay, and she said yes. She was just scared for the other woman because she thought her mom was going to, and I quote, beat the white off that woman and curb stomp her. This made the security guy laugh. He was a black man with a daughter himself and agreed that his wife would have done the same thing. They went back to the woman and told her aunt was acting out of self-defense for her child. The manager told her that because she grabbed the little girl by force, she was on the hook for first-degree kidnapping charges. This is when the woman started fuming and shouted, "It's not my fault this skin pigment-related slur is a horrible mother." And there it was. The infamous word that ended Paula Deen's career and made Dave Chappelle a household name. The manager, the security guards, the onlookers' aunt saw a lot of dropped jaws and heard a lot of shocked gasps. The woman realized what she said and sputtered, trying to save face. The manager promptly told her to shut up and asked aunt if she wanted to press charges. She said hell yeah. The security guard who waited with the woman slapped some lovely silver bracelets to go with her outfit and escorted her out the store. She was charged for the attempted kidnapping and hate speech. Some people clapped as the woman was escorted out. Aunt's $40 purchase was comped, and they went home. No matter how sweet cousin makes her gingerbread house, I'm sure the justice she and aunt got today was even sweeter. Story 6. There was this girl in my grade who was the daughter of the vice principal. I'll call her Brat. She would always try to use her mom's position to get what she wanted. If she got a bad grade on her test, she would tell the teacher to change it or else her mom would fire them. If she ran out of money on her lunch account, she would tell somebody to buy food for her or else she would look up their password on her mom's computer and take it herself. Of course, these are things the vice principal couldn't actually do. But Brat seemed to think her mom was a god, and we all had to bow down to her because they were related. Now Brat seemed to be terrible at everything. However, with the help of her mom calling in some favors and sweet-talking the coach, Brat got on the volleyball team. I was in the photography club, and I worked a few of the volleyball games. Oh my God, I had never seen somebody so uncoordinated and terrible at volleyball. The ball was coming straight toward her and was impossible to miss. But somehow Brat tripped over her feet and fell onto another team member, knocking her over as well. I took joy in taking pictures of the whole thing. Needless to say, I never saw her on the court again. Now here's where my story begins. My school is very serious about marching band and show choir. The school's first and only state championship came from the band while I was a freshman. And guess who wanted to be in the band now? None other than Brat. She begged and begged her mom to get the band conductor to let her in, which he eventually did. This was a huge slap in the face to everybody who worked hard to get in the school's elite program. Remember how I said Brat was terrible at everything? Well, that applies to music as well. She showed up to the first practice, not even knowing what instrument she wanted to play. After looking around for a bit, she decided on flute, saying, "How hard could it be?" Now let me tell you something about flutes. They are hard to play, or even just blow into. I play many instruments and flute is arguably one of the hardest ones. If you blow slightly too hard, it could end up sounding like something you would hear on Ear Rape. You think this is easy, Brat? Yeah, good luck. The next practice, Brat showed up with a fancy expensive flute and started bragging about the lessons she had taken. She tried showing off her new skills, but all that came out was a loud screech. Brat always reminded us that she had just started and she was going to be better than all of us soon. She struggled through a few more practices and would not stop complaining. This was ironic considering I had heard her make fun of marching band many times before that, and it was her idea to join after all. Weeks later, we finally started working on our show. The director then announces that there will be a flute solo to open the show, and of course I want it. But I'm not the only one. I'm staying after school one day practicing the solo, and Brat walks up to my room. "Listen, you better not try out for the solo or else my mom will expel you." I would love to see how that would work. I can just imagine me standing in front of the school board and Brat's mom says, "I want to permanently ban her from this school for trying out for a solo." I told Brat that there was no way I was quitting and like her. I actually had to work hard to get into the band, and I had always wanted a solo. Brat just stormed off and said, "My mom's gonna kick you out, and I won't be sad one bit." The day for the tryout is around the corner, and I sprained my wrist in some dumb gymnastics project in gym. I couldn't really hold a flute, and my doctor said it would take a while to heal. I was sad because I missed one of the only chances I would ever get to play a solo in the band. But then it occurred to me that I didn't even know who else was trying out. Maybe Brat was the only one, and it's not like they would just give it to her when I would be just fine in a week or two. So I decided to show up to the auditorium where people were auditioning for various parts. I took a seat and I noticed Brat's mom and some other teachers were there. I was in the back row, so nobody noticed me. It was Brat's turn, and she walked on the stage across from the band conductor and some upperclassmen who would be judging. She put down her music stand and started playing. Once she started, everybody went silent. I don't think awful is a strong enough word to describe it. The judges didn't want to be rude and cover their ears, but I did. When she was done, everyone was silent, except for Brat's mom, who stood up and clapped while yelling, "Yes, that's my girl." Brat smiled and turned to the judges and said, "So, did I get the solo?" All of the judges looked at each other and loudly whispered among each other. They turned to Brat and told her that they had a lot to consider. This infuriated Brat's mom, who walked up to judges and started yelling, "What do you have to consider? Brat was the only one to try out, which means she automatically gets the solo. I think my name still wanted to try out as well. We will pick the winner when she recovers." One of the judges tells Brat's mom, "What? So you're picking a cripple over my daughter? This should be a no-brainer." "Come on, Brat's mom. It's only a sprained wrist. It's not like I was going to be in a cast for the rest of my life." Brat left the auditorium, her mom following behind her while praising her. Before auditions for the next thing started, I went up and told the conductor that I would be healed in about 2 weeks. This worked out okay because it would be in time for the first competition. But however, the band was going to perform at halftime for the football game the next week. He was going to consider cutting out the flute solo for that performance or having some other instrument cover it for the time being. Brat's mom heard about this and was livid. She tried threatening, sweet-talking, bribing, guilt-tripping, and just about every trick in the book to get the conductor to let Brat play the solo. Eventually, he let her know just what would happen. I got a front row seat to Brat standing front center of the football field with a microphone in front of her, while she absolutely destroyed the hearing of anyone unfortunate to hear it. I even got a recording and kept it for myself. Usually people clap at the end of a solo, but instead it was silent. The rest of the band couldn't start playing any faster. The rest of the performance was great, but Brat's terrible opening solo ruined the whole mood. Brat was shocked. She had no idea why nobody clapped for her. One of the band members walked up to her and said, "I'm just going to put it blunt. You're not good." This caused Brat to break out into tears in front of the whole crowd. Her mom rushed down from the stands and tried to comfort her. The next day, she quit the band, and good riddance to her. I eventually got the solo for myself. Everybody was glad I did. I don't think I could have listened to Brat play the flute one more time even to save my life. After that, Brat was quiet and never made fun of the band ever again. This just goes to show you that your mommy's position and money can buy a lot, but it can't buy talent or a personality. Thanks for reading my story, and if you would like to hear more stories about Brat or her mom, let me know.